Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today I want to do something new. I want to look at the developer comments on the official forums, and I want to give you my feedback, go over some of these things, make sure that you're aware of them. For those of you who don't actually check the official forums, the developers give updates and posts all the time. Now keep in mind, for the most part, these weekly developer highlights are going to be based on the US ones, the English ones, the ones that I can actually read actively on the forums. Although I'm sure that our local badass Reinhardt is going to be translating plenty of them. When he does, I will look into adding those onto the list, but on weeks when he doesn't, I'm just going to be reaching into the American ones and the English ones overall, just to see what's going on there. So let's start off with the first one. The first one's actually about hairstyles. Just to give you guys a good idea of what you can expect in 2.1, we've spoken with the lead developer on the Salon feature, who looked into a few of your requests in this thread and commented below. So the first thing they commented on was access to hairstyles of other races. So they said some of these will be possible, not all of them. So if there's one in particular you're looking for, just stay tuned to find out which ones are actually available. The next one is more hairstyles such as curly hair, wavy hair, afros, modern looks, and punk style. I don't know about you, but I would really like an afro on my character. And they said they're planning to gradually add more and more hairstyles. So they didn't comment per se on which one of those they're adding, just that they're adding more hairstyles and that those are on the list. So hopefully we can get some of those things in 2.1. Next is hairstyles similar to classic Final Fantasy characters. I think so many people have been asking for this one, but they said they would like to make this happen, but they're not sure when, so just don't expect it in 2.1 necessarily. It means there's still a chance, but they're not saying, yeah, we're aiming for 2.1. They're aiming to get it in, but they're not aiming for 2.1, so unfortunate. Although I think if I saw just an army of Cloud Strife hairs, I think I would just go nuts. I think that would be all over Reddit as well. Next was longer hair on both men and women, and they said while there are currently some long hair options for some females, we cannot make them any longer, unfortunately. So sorry, guys and gals, you can't get your hair any longer than it already is. Next one is earned hairstyles integrated from rewards as dungeons, quests, fates. I'd imagine they could also do it via achievement. We're looking into this as a future possibility, but not for 2.1. That would be so weird, running Total Rock to get a new hairstyle or something like that, like one of the low-end dungeons. I think it's a nice little feature, but I don't think it's something they should really be spending that much development time on, unless it's really easy to implement for them. Next is freckles, something that all races in 2.1 will have. Selective highlights on hair, eyebrows, and tails for Makote. That's actually interesting. I never even thought of that. Said that won't be in 2.1, however, but you can look to it in the future. Next, Crescent Moon face paint option. That is planned for 2.1. Animal face paint such as cheetahs and tigers are also planned for 2.1, and more aggressive tattoo options. Nothing too different, but they said they will be adding more of those. Now, unfortunately, there was a list of things that did not make it in, and that was very long beards, hair length sliders, additional sliders for chest, waist, thigh, calves, etc., and multiple face paint layers and multiple tattoos. These things, unfortunately, are not slated at all for 2.1, so look forward to the other options above, and hopefully they can come out sooner than later. The next dev post is a problem dealing with the AFKers in both CM and Praetorium. I mean, they're still out there. And I have something I definitely want to say about this. They said, greetings. The development team is aware of the issue where players go AFK during dungeons without participating at all. And they will be making it so if a character does not move for a certain period of time, they will be automatically kicked from the instance. This will be implemented along with the MVP voting system in patch 2.1. Now, before even reading the rest of the developer post right there, the rest of the comments that were on that post, I already knew what to think. A, people can just run against walls. B, people who go AFK in those things usually aren't really AFK. They're still watching in case anything needs to happen. And 3, just add the kick feature. I mean, I know that they're really striving to prevent people from abusing it, but if there's situations like this where people are actively doing it, you need some form of active way of removing them. So what you're telling me is that those parties are supposed to wait until the guy gets kicked, if he gets kicked at all, if he even goes really AFK. No, if you're going to actively attempt to do dungeons to grind the tombstones, you need an active way of removing AFK players, and the most active thing there is a vote to kick feature. That is my feedback on that. It's great. They should add an AFK one like that, but the vote kick feature is far more important than implementing that, in my opinion. Yes? No? Bam. There you go. Guys kicked out. Next is another report that needs to be made for overall balance in turn 5. Another issue with the fight, although this time not an immobilization issue. They said, thank you for the report. We are currently investigating this issue and will look into what adjustments need to be made based on the overall balance. Now, what they're referring to is the conflagration, something that's been spreading over Reddit and pretty much over most of the Final Fantasy XIV forums and endgame raiders, is that in turn 5 there's a mechanic that can be completely bypassed by sleeping them. I'm not going to go into which mechanic that is, although you could find out pretty easily. I'm not going to definitely explain how the mechanic works in Toon. That would just take way too long to explain everything how it works. So basically what they're saying is they're going to release a comment about this early next week. They don't plan on closing turn 5 again in order to address this issue, and there are no problems if you would like to continue to challenge this content. I think they've realized if they take turn 5 down again, they might as well just take it down until 2.1. Look at it, overhaul it, and just re-release it to the public. So that is what they are doing with this right now. I'm glad to see they're not taking it down again. I'm not glad to see a different sort of mechanical feature. Although, honestly, this has been in the game for a very long time, this problem that has actually been referring to. And it's just weird to see that just now it's becoming a huge thing. But I guess it's just because most common sense players wouldn't actually try this bug, if it's even a bug at all. It seems that they're investigating the issue and that they're confirming it to be a bug. So we'll just see what happens with this fight, what they say about turn 5 early next week. I'm actually really curious to say if they're just going to comment on this individual bug or if they're going to come out with a comment about turn 5 altogether. So that's all that there was with that one. So next we have the UI being implemented. Now, this post was in direct reference to people requesting that HQ items be shown without needing to go through your inventory and things like that. They just want more information to be available on the screen, such as what stats an item has through the crafting menu, what HQ items are through the crafting and gathering menu, so you can see how many you have, what number are needed for the crafting, what the HQ item will be when it comes out at the end of the crafting. There's a lot of things that were involved in this post. So basically they said they want to go over some of the crafting and gathering UIs and logs, although this wasn't the only developer post in this one. They want to add to the crafting log addition of the display on the right side of the window that shows the information of the item selected. They said that that's already going to be implemented, which is useful, but at the same time, if it doesn't show the HQ, it doesn't really show everything that we need it to. And that's really the big thing, is knowing what stats an HQ item has on it without having to sort of reach out and look for it really, intensely. Gathering UI, priority A, there's a lot of room taken up by the display for different shards. You need to adjust the specialized layout. And gathering log, priority B, same as above. So why were there two? Okay, those are two priorities. Okay. And fishing log is priority C. Add text to the information displayed when you hover over the fish you can catch at each spot at the lower right hand of the window. They also have a fishing, something about a fish guide. Add text to the information of the fish you are selecting at the bottom of the windows. Just some UI overhauls that they're looking to address. They're working hard to address it for 2.1, and hopefully they can get some of these things in, because it would just be nice to have the additional information on the screen. The next one is actually something I found very interesting, because I've had an explanation for this for a while, and I've gone over it on stream, but it was nice to see them go over it in an official dev post. And that, what is an aetheryte? Like, how does it work? How are you able to teleport between these things? Why does it cost money? So basically in 1.0, aetherytes were, the sort of connectors between the live stream. And yes, I said live stream. Yes, it is called the live stream. In fact, in this post, they even call it the life stream. So, aetherytes are colossal structures comprised of crystallized aether. So that they may serve as waypoints as ethereal travel, these crystals have been amplified through the use of advanced Charlayan technology. So, there's your answer about what an aetheryte is, and then it's why doesn't everyone use aethers? And this is in retrospect to NPCs and certain players and everything. So why doesn't everyone use them? This even refers to players back in 1.0 you weren't restricted by gil, you were restricted by a resource that was gained to you daily called anima, and you would only receive so much per day, and it counted up sort of like your leave allowances to 100, and you could save it and use it whenever you wanted. But people would abuse the hell out of it and just run out of it immediately. There's a lot of markets involved, so They say, why doesn't everyone use it? To traverse the life stream safely with teleport and return requires a great deal of spiritual energy, known as anima. While many individuals, such as adventurers, possess the fortitude to endure such travel, some individuals do not. What's more, even if one has the ability to use Aetherites, the frequency with which they can do so varies. In essence, for some, the recast time for these spells can be far longer than for an adventurer. As a result, only a fraction of the populace can utilize ethereal travel habitually, which is why chocobos, airships, and other forms of transportation still play a major role in Eorzea. Now, that's all good and all, but why does it cost Gil to use them? And the basic explanation is, well, many Aetheryte camps were destroyed during the Calamity, which necessitated further reconstruction, which is why they charge you Gil for them. So, they said the Gil doesn't magically disappear from your purse. It's not shown in game, but the guards are actually collecting your Gil before you use the teleporting features, which I think is funny. If I'm just standing out in the middle of like Coerthus and I just teleport, I want to imagine the guard that's charged with walking up to me and collecting it. I'm assuming he'll walk up to me and collect it when I get there, more or less. But if you're wondering why, I had a different explanation for why they don't use anima anymore. The Gil thing still doesn't, I mean, it doesn't explain the whole anima thing. It's still not an infinite source according to them. But we can use it infinitely as long as we pay, so I guess we're just that much stronger as adventurers. For those of you who don't know, Atamos actually did a lot of damage to those things back during the Calamity. So he actually was sucking the Aether out of them, and they were being rendered a completely different color. I'm colorblind, I couldn't tell which color it is, but you could look up, I think it might have been orange or something like that. But that's what it was, and yeah, so we need to reconstruct them, hopefully. But see, now I wonder if it's like, oh, you know, yeah, we need to reconstruct them, so we're going to collect Gil infinitely from you. Sort of like the George Washington Bridge. Like, yeah, it'll only take us however many years to pay it back, and by the way, we're going to keep charging you for it because it makes us money. So next is, it will only be possible to have one house when housing is first implemented in 2.1. This was regards to somebody asking, well, can you only purchase one house when 2.1 comes around? However, in the future, they will make it so you can have multiple houses. So get your first house in 2.1, worry about the rest of the land that you're going to buy in a later patch. Also, for those curious about plot sizes and housing sizes, when housing is implemented in patch 2.1, you will only be able to build houses that fit the plot of land, meaning you have to build a small size house on a small plot of land or a medium sized house on a medium plot of land. After patch 2.2, we will make it possible to build houses that are smaller than the size of the plot of land. I don't know why you would want to buy a medium-sized plot of land and a small house. I imagine so you have more yard space and you can put more outside furnishings, and I guess that is a pretty big draw to it. Although it really depends on how much yard space we actually need or already have. So basically, if you buy a small plot of land, you're only going to be able to build a small house, etc., until patch 2.2. Personally, I don't see that being a huge issue. I mean, you pretty much know how big of the plot of land you want to buy, but I guess you can say that some people build really big houses on even bigger plots of land in real life, so why not in a game? It seems perfectly legit to me. And the final one we're going to go over is the Dark Devices pillar bug that people have been complaining about. Basically, there's a spot where you can stand where the Dark Devices fate actually happens, and if you stand up there and attack enemies, the enemies will not be able to attack you. They have no way of getting up there. They don't know how to. The developer said, well, standing in this position and battling against the enemy isn't against the rules per se, and we don't plan on taking any action against those that do this. Being able to play this way is not in line with the spirit of battle. We'd like to ask that you please submit this as a bug report and let the team know if you find any more places so this can be adjusted. So basically what they're saying is, we don't like it, we're not going to do anything about it, let the team know they're going to fix it. That's how it seems. But it's weird that they say standing in this position and battling against the enemy isn't against the rules. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're up there, an enemy, as long as you are the target of that enemy, you will take no damage while you're up there. Basically, it's as close to rendering something immobile without rendering it immobile. If somebody else maybe in your party provokes off of you, they will get attacked. If somebody else is attacking them from below you and they get aggro, they will get attacked. However, the fact that the one player cannot be attacked seems that that's pretty against the rules, that the player isn't attacked the entire time. I mean, sometimes it's clever to like use a rock to kite around, so the enemy uses the pathing of the rock in order to, they can't get around as quickly, so you can run in a circle. That's been pretty common in games, but the simple fact of standing on top of a pillar and literally becoming invulnerable to anything that tries to attack you seems to definitely be a bug. So I'm glad that at least they admitted that it should be put in as a bug report and it's not intended. But just saying that it only goes against the spirit of battle is a little bit weird after some of the other troubles that other people have gotten for immobilizing other bosses, such as, obviously it's different when it's a boss versus a regular monster, but it's still something that renders a monster unable to do anything. It's just only under a certain condition. So in my opinion, They need to fix these things, these type of bugs. That's not the only place you could do it, and I know that for sure, but it's the most popular place to do it. So definitely address dark devices, and I guess we'll see things like this get fixed more in the future. So what do you guys think about these developer posts? Be sure to go to the post themselves and leave a comment there. Give your feedback on these sort of things. Oh, leave your mind open. Be willing to discuss these things, maturely as best as you can, But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Next week we'll be going over some developer posts as well. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. You can get all that information in the description below. I'm also going to include links to all these developer posts in the link below, so you can go check them out for yourself, read what other people are thinking, and catch up on the other developer posts. Definitely stay checked up on the forums. There's a lot of developer posts that come through there on a weekly basis. Also, be sure to check out my Extra Life fundraiser, also in the description below. I'm going to be officially starting the stream for it on November 2nd. However, I am making moves to sort of build it up until November 2nd. So hopefully you guys can support the children of the Children's Specialized Hospital in New Jersey with your donations to Extra Life. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.